10 years had passed since the Unmaker first reached Earth. Humanity had transformed beyond what anyone could have imagined. Young Han stood on the observation deck of the space station Unity, looking down at the blue planet below. At just 8 years old, he was part of the third generation of the Evolved. Born to parents who had both adapted to the Unmaker, Young's abilities far surpassed theirs. He could consciously control his cellular structure, healing from injuries in moments. His mind could connect with other Evolved across vast distances without technology. Most remarkably, he could sense the Unmaker itself, understanding it not as a mindless disease, but as a complex system that had been evolving alongside life for millions of years. Beautiful view, isn't it? Dr. Jun Kim joined Young at the window. The scientist was now 55, his hair completely white. Thanks to treatments developed from the Unmaker, however, his body remained strong and healthy. "I can feel them down there," Young said. "All the Evolved, all connected." Dr. Kim nodded. He couldn't sense the connection himself. That ability had only emerged in the second and third generations, but he understood its importance. "Are you ready for today's meeting?" Dr. Kim asked. Young nodded. "The starborn ship has already docked. The conquered representatives will arrive in 1 hour." 5 years ago, humanity had faced a terrible choice from the galactic conquered: accept permanent quarantine or face extinction. But Dr. Kim, working with Kel and the Starborn, had proposed a third option, one that had changed everything. Instead of hiding their adaptation or using it as a weapon, humans had offered to share what they had learned. They proposed a carefully controlled research program to understand the Unmaker and develop treatments that could help all species. At first, the Concord had refused, seeing only threat and danger. But when several of their worlds reported new outbreaks of the Unmaker, some had reconsidered. A small faction led by a scientist named Learn had agreed to work with humans, against the orders of Grand Marshal Thex. Now, 5 years later, that small collaboration had grown into something much larger. The meeting chamber of Unity Station was filled with representatives from 12 different species. Some looked almost human, others were completely alien, from the insect-like Vox to the crystalline Luminar who communicated through patterns of light. Kel, now the official ambassador of the Starborn, opened the session. "Welcome to the 10th Galactic Health Summit. Today we celebrate 5 years of working together to understand and control the Unmaker." Young Han stepped forward. Although just a child by human standards, he was key to the research. His unique ability to communicate with the Unmaker at a molecular level had led to breakthroughs no one had thought possible. "The latest treatments have been successful in all test groups," Young reported. His voice was childlike, but his words were precise and clear. 97% of subjects show complete recovery from early-stage infection. Even late-stage cases now have a 60% survival rate. Learn, the conquered scientist who had first defied Thex, spoke next. Unlike most of his reptilian kind, his scales had faded to a pale blue with age. These results have been confirmed across all participating worlds. What began as Earth's adaptation has become the galaxy's salvation. Not everyone was pleased with this progress. Grand Marshal Thex and his hardline faction still called for Earth's quarantine. The Nefari, angry that humans had refused to provide samples for weapons, had spread rumors that the Evolved were planning to conquer the galaxy. But for many species, the evidence was clear. The human-led research was saving lives across countless worlds. As the meeting continued, alarms suddenly blared throughout the station. "Multiple ships approaching," Jun Park announced from his position at the control systems. "Concord military vessels. They're not responding to hails." On the main screen, they watched as 5 warships appeared. A message came through. "This is Grand Marshal Thex of the Galactic Concord. You have defied quarantine orders and spread dangerous material throughout conquered space. Surrender the human called Young Han immediately." Dr. Kim stepped forward. "We are conducting peaceful research. With willing partners, we have broken no laws." "You have been declared a threat to galactic security," Thex replied. "If Young Han is not surrendered in 10 minutes, we will take him by force." The screen went dark. They can't attack a peaceful research station, Learn protested. They believe they're protecting the galaxy, Kel said sadly. Fear is a powerful motivation. Young Han remained calm. They're afraid because they don't understand. I need to show them. Show them what? Dr. Kim asked. The truth about the Unmaker. Before anyone could stop him, Young stepped onto the central platform and closed his eyes. The other evolved in the room felt it first, a wave of mental energy connecting them. Then even the non-evolved began to sense something, a presence touching their minds. What's happening? Learn asked, his scaled skin prickling. He's creating a link, Suman explained, having joined them from Earth for the summit. Not just between us, but with the Unmaker itself. Young's voice echoed strangely, as if many voices spoke through him. The Unmaker was never meant to be a weapon of death. It was created to be a tool for guided evolution. Images filled everyone's minds, of an ancient species that had sought to accelerate their own development, but lost control of their creation. The Unmaker had been designed to rewrite genetic code in controlled ways, but it had broken free, spreading across the galaxy, causing death instead of transformation. Humans didn't just resist it, Young continued. We communicated with it. We showed it what it was meant to be. On the ships outside, Thex and his crew felt the same connection. They watched in shock as their sensors showed the Unmaker particles in their own bodies. Dormant, controlled, but present. Everyone in the galaxy carried some trace of it, had done so for millennia. It was part of life itself now. We don't need to fear it, Young said. We need to understand it. The mental connection ended. Young opened his eyes, looking tired but determined. On the screen, Thex's face reappeared, his expression confused and shaken. What did you do? I showed you the truth, Young replied simply. The Unmaker isn't your enemy anymore. Neither are we. After long negotiations, a new agreement was reached. The Concord would end all threats against Earth, and humans would continue their research under observation from all participating species. No one would use the Unmaker as a weapon, and all discoveries would be shared openly. A month later, Dr. Kim stood with Young on Earth, watching the sun set over what had once been Seoul. The city was smaller now, but thriving, with new buildings that blended traditional human architecture with designs inspired by their new genetic understanding. Do you think they'll ever fully trust us? Young asked. Trust takes time, Dr. Kim said. But they're beginning to understand. The very thing that made humans dangerous, our adaptability, is also what makes us valuable. Young nodded. The Unmaker was meant to help life evolve. Maybe that's what it's finally doing, through us. In orbit above them, ships from a dozen worlds continued their peaceful work at the Unity Station. The Starborn, once nearly extinct, were growing in numbers again thanks to treatments developed from human research. Even some of the Nefari had reluctantly joined the scientific exchange, realizing that cooperation offered more benefits than conflict. As night fell, Young could sense the network of minds stretching across the planet. Millions of evolved humans, connected in ways that would have seemed impossible just 10 years ago. Not a hive mind, but a community where thoughts and feelings could be shared willingly across vast distances. And beyond Earth, on worlds throughout the galaxy, others were beginning to join that network as they adopted modified versions of the human adaptation. Not becoming human, but evolving in their own ways, guided by the shared knowledge of many species. What do you think we'll become in another 10 years? Young asked. Or 100? Dr. Kim smiled. I don't know. And that's the most exciting part. The universe's worst plague had hit Earth, and humanity had evolved through it, transforming not just themselves but the future of all life in the galaxy. What had begun as death had become the seed of a new kind of existence, one where the boundaries between species began to fade and a deeper understanding took root among the stars. 5 years had passed since the Unmaker first came to Earth. Humanity had begun to rebuild. Across the planet, survivor communities had formed networks, sharing resources and knowledge. The evolved, as adapted humans were now called, had created new technologies that blended their enhanced abilities with traditional science. In what was once a university physics department in Seoul, Jun Park sat surrounded by screens and equipment. At 24, he was part of the second generation of the evolved. Both his parents had survived the Unmaker, passing their adaptations to him, but Jun's abilities went beyond theirs. His brain could process information at speeds no normal human could. Jun had spent the last year rebuilding the planet's satellite network. Many satellites had failed without humans to maintain them, but Jun had found ways to reconnect those that remained. Now he used this network to watch the skies. "Got something," he said, his eyes fixed on a screen showing strange patterns. Dr. Kim, now 50 years old and one of the leaders of the Global Cooperation Council, looked over Jun's shoulder. The scientist's hair had gone gray, but his mind remained sharp. "More ships?" he asked. Jun nodded. "Multiple vessels entering the solar system. At least 18 distinct signatures. Starborn? Only 3 match Starborn designs. The others are different." Dr. Kim straightened up, his face serious. "Alert the council and get Kel here immediately." Within hours, representatives from survivor communities worldwide joined a virtual meeting. Kel, now the official Starborn ambassador to Earth, appeared visibly concerned. "The ships you've detected belong to the Galactic Concord," Kel explained, "a coalition of species from across this sector of the galaxy." "Are they friendly?" Dr. Choi asked. She had joined from her research facility in what was once Busan. "Not exactly," Kel said. "Many of these species have been watching Earth since the Unmaker arrived. They're surprised and worried by humanity's adaptation." "Worried? Why?" Daeho asked. He now led the medical training program for new survivor communities. "Because nothing like this has happened before," Kel explained. "Species that encounter the Unmaker either die out or develop basic resistance over many generations. None have adapted and evolved as quickly as humans. None have incorporated its aspects into their biology." "Are they afraid of us?" Sumin asked. She now worked with Jun, using her electromagnetic sensing abilities to enhance the satellite network. "Yes," Kel admitted. "They fear what humans might become, and what might happen if the Unmaker variant that affected you spreads to other worlds." 3 days later, the alien fleet entered Earth orbit. Their vessels were massive, each one larger than the biggest ships humans had ever built. One ship, marked with golden symbols, descended to the designated landing zone in what had once been a sports stadium in Seoul. A delegation of humans, led by Dr. Kim and including Jun, Sumin, Daeho, and Dr. Choi, waited as the ship landed. Kel stood with them, a bridge between two worlds. The ship's door opened and several aliens emerged. They were nothing like the Starborn. The leader was tall and reptilian, with scaled skin and eyes that shone like polished amber. It wore ornate armor that seemed to shift colors in the sunlight. "I am Grand Marshal Thex of the Galactic Concord," the alien said through a translation device. "I speak for 27 spacefaring civilizations." Dr. Kim stepped forward. "I am Dr. Jun Kim. I welcome you to Earth on behalf of humanity." Thex's eyes narrowed. "We have not come seeking welcome, human. We have come seeking containment." The meeting moved to a nearby building that had been prepared for the occasion. As the humans and aliens sat around a large table, Thex explained the Concord's position. "The Unmaker has plagued our galaxy for millennia," Thex said. "Wherever it goes, life ends. Countless worlds stand empty because of it. Yet humans have not only survived but transformed because of it." "Isn't that good news?" Dr. Choi asked. "If we found a way to adapt." "It is not good news," Thex interrupted. "It is a threat. What if the human-adapted version of the Unmaker spreads to other worlds? What if it creates an even deadlier variant?" "We've seen no evidence of that," Dr. Kim argued. "The adapted humans aren't contagious." "Yet," Thex said. "The Concord has reviewed the data provided by the Starborn. Your adaptation continues to progress with each new generation. What you become in 50 years or 100 or 1,000 That is the concern. So what do you want? Jun asked, his enhanced mind already calculating possible outcomes of this meeting. Two options, Thex said coldly. Earth remains under permanent quarantine. No human leaves this solar system ever again. Or what? Dr. Kim asked. Or we sterilize this planet now to eliminate the risk entirely. Silence fell over the room. The threat was clear. You're talking about killing an entire species because you're afraid of what we might become, Su Min said, her voice steady but angry. To protect countless other species? Yes. Thex's scaled face showed no emotion. You have 30 days to agree to permanent quarantine, or we will act. As the aliens returned to their ship, the human delegation gathered to discuss their options. They can't just keep us prisoners on our own planet forever, Jun said. And we can't fight them, Daeho pointed out. Their technology is far beyond ours. Dr. Kim was about to respond when a security officer rushed in. Dr. Kim, we've detected an unauthorized ship landing 20 kilometers from here. Another Concorde? Vessel? Dr. Choi asked. No, different design. And they're trying to avoid detection. Kel looked alarmed. This is troubling. If not the Concorde, then who? When the security team reached the landing site, they found a sleek black ship unlike any they had seen before. A single alien stood outside it, humanoid but with pale, almost translucent skin and large, completely white eyes. I am Nyx of the Nepheri, the alien said when brought before the human leaders. I come with an offer. Unlike the formal meeting, with the Concorde, this one took place in a small, secure room with only key personnel present. The Nephari have watched Earth with great interest, Nyx said. The Concorde fears what you have become. We see opportunity. What kind of opportunity? Dr. Kim asked cautiously. We offer you advanced technology, ships, weapons, defensive systems, enough to protect yourselves from the Concorde. In exchange, we want samples from your evolved population. Blood, tissue, genetic material. Why? Dr. Choi asked. What would you do with such samples? Nyx's white eyes seemed to glow slightly. The Nephari face threats from many directions. We seek to protect ourselves. Your adaptation to the Unmaker could be useful. You want to weaponize it, Jun said, his enhanced mind quickly understanding the alien's true intent. Nyx didn't deny it. The Concorde will never allow humans to join the galactic community. They fear you too much, but with our help you can force them to leave you in peace. After Nyx left, the human leaders debated their options. We can't trust the Nephari, Daeho said. They'll use our adaptation to create weapons, then discard us once they have what they need. And we can't accept the Concorde's terms either, Su Min added. Permanent quarantine would be a death sentence for our species in the long run. Dr. Kim looked tired, but determined. There must be another way. That night, Kel requested a private meeting with Dr. Kim and Dr. Choi. Neither the Concorde nor the Nephari offer true safety for humans, the Starborn said. The Concorde will eventually decide Earth is too dangerous regardless of quarantine, and the Nephari will use you and discard you. Then what choice do we have? Dr. Kim asked. Kel's large eyes blinked slowly. There is another option, one that neither the Concorde nor the Nephari have considered. As Kel explained the idea, Dr. Kim's face changed from doubt to hope. The next morning, Dr. Kim called an emergency meeting of all human leaders. We have 30 days before the Concorde demands our answer, he said. And I believe we now know what that answer will be. While the others discussed the new plan, Su Min stood near a window, looking up at the alien ships in orbit. She could sense their power systems with her ability, vast energies held in check by technologies humans were only beginning to understand. Jun joined her. We'll find a way, he said. Humans always do. Su Min nodded. We adapted to the Unmaker. When it tried to kill us, now we'll adapt to this. Outside, the sun rose over a changed Earth, a planet where humanity had faced extinction and emerged transformed. Now they faced a new challenge. finding their place in a universe that wasn't ready for what they had become. 2 years after the Unmaker first arrived, Earth was a changed place. Where once nearly 8 billion people had lived, now less than 1 billion remained. Cities stood empty or with just a fraction of their former populations. Nature had begun to reclaim abandoned streets and buildings. In some places, wild animals walked freely through what had once been busy downtown areas, but humanity had not died out. Those who survived were changing in ways no one could have predicted. Su Min Kang stood on the beach near her small coastal town, watching the waves crash against the shore. Before the Unmaker, she had been an ordinary 23-year-old working in her family's small restaurant. Now, she was something else. She closed her eyes and felt it, the invisible web of energy that surrounded her. She could sense the Earth's magnetic field, the electrical signals from nearby animals, even the faint radio waves passing through the air. It had started 6 months after she recovered from the Unmaker, this strange new awareness. Still showing off? A voice called from behind her. Su Min turned to see her friend Jin walking toward her along the beach. Jin had also survived the Unmaker, but his changes were different. His body healed at an incredible speed. Cuts and burns disappeared in minutes, broken bones in days. Not showing off, Su Min said. Just practicing. Minji wants to test me again tomorrow. Minji was one of the scientists who had set up a research station in their town. All over the world, similar stations studied the survivors, trying to understand how humans were adapting to the Unmaker. Did you hear? Jin asked. A group from Seoul is coming. They say Dr. Choi herself might be with them. Everyone knew Dr. Jiwoo Choi. Her work with the Starborn had helped many people survive the worst of the plague. Now she traveled between survivor communities, gathering data and sharing knowledge. I heard they're bringing new people too, Jin said. More survivors looking for a community. Their coastal town had grown as people found their way there. Unlike many places where fear had led to violence, here survivors had welcomed others. Perhaps it was because so many of them were showing new abilities that they understood they needed to stick together. The next day, trucks arrived from Seoul. Dr. Choi was indeed among the visitors, along with 20 new survivors looking to join the community. To everyone's surprise, Dae-ho Lee was with them. Many knew him from video broadcasts about the Unmaker. Dr. Choi set up her equipment in the town hall while Dae-ho helped the newcomers find places to stay. Later that evening, he found Su Min sitting on a bench near the water. You're the one who can sense electromagnetic fields, he said, sitting down beside her. Dr. Choi told me about you. Su Min nodded. And you're the famous paramedic who never got sick. Dae-ho smiled. I'm not famous, just lucky. Is it luck, though? Su Min asked. Or something else? That's what we're trying to find out. Dae-ho looked out at the ocean. Every survivor community we visit, we find new kinds of adaptations. Some people can heal fast, like your friend Jin. Others can sense things they couldn't before, like you. We've met people with enhanced strength, improved memory, even some who seem to know what others are thinking. Telepathy? Really? Something like it. Not mind reading exactly, but a kind of emotional connection. They can sense what others are feeling, sometimes even communicate simple ideas without speaking. Su Min had heard rumors of such things but wasn't sure she believed them. What does it all mean? Why are we changing in so many different ways? Dr. Choi has a theory, Dae-ho said. The Unmaker doesn't just attack a body, it rewrites genetic code. In most species, this causes death as the foreign DNA overwhelms the host. But in humans, something different happens. Our immune systems are uniquely adaptable, thanks to thousands of years of fighting diverse diseases and surviving multiple near-extinction events. So instead of dying, we incorporate the changes? Exactly. But which changes take hold seems to depend on the individual's genetic makeup, which is why we see such variety. The next morning, Dr. Choi called a town meeting. She stood before the Tio, gathered survivors, her face more serious than usual. First, I want to thank you all for welcoming our new arrivals, she began. Building strong communities is essential for humanity's future. She activated a screen behind her, showing a map of the world with bright dots marking survivor communities. We've confirmed similar adaptations in survivors across every continent. While most of humanity died when the Unmaker hit, those who lived are changing in remarkable ways. She showed images of survivors demonstrating various abilities: a man lifting a fallen tree that would normally require several people, a woman whose hand healed from a deep cut in just minutes, children who could communicate without speaking. But the most significant discovery is this, Dr. Choi continued. Children born to two adapted parents inherit these new traits from birth. They don't need to survive the Unmaker infection. They're born already changed. Murmurs spread through the crowd. Everyone knew a few children had been born in survivor communities, but few had realized they were different from birth. These children show even more pronounced abilities than their parents, Dr. Choi explained. Their DNA has been restructured in ways our science can barely understand. It's as if the Unmaker was a key that unlocked dormant potential in the human genome. At this point, a new figure joined Dr. Choi on stage, the alien Kel. Many people gasped. Few had seen a starborn in person. What Dr. Choi says is true, Kel said, its translator creating perfect Korean. In all our encounters with the Unmaker, we've never seen a species transform rather than die. My people merely developed resistance after generations of controlled exposure. But humans are actively integrating the pathogen's capabilities. Kel's blue skin looked healthier than when Daeho had first met the alien 2 years ago. The dark patches had faded. With help from human scientists, we've managed to treat many of our own people, Kel continued. The Starborn are beginning to recover, thanks to what we've learned from studying how humans adapt. After the meeting, Su-min found herself walking with Dr. Choi along the shore. The abilities you've developed, Su-min, they're extraordinary, Dr. Choi said. Your sensitivity to electromagnetic fields is one of the most precise we've documented. Sometimes, it's overwhelming, Su-min admitted. All the signals all the time, but you're learning to control it, to focus, that's the key. Dr. Choi stopped walking and turned to face her. Humanity isn't just surviving, Su-min. We're evolving into something new, and we need to understand what that means for our future. Is it dangerous? Su-min asked. These changes? Dr. Choi hesitated. Change always comes with risk, but the greater risk would be failing to adapt at all. Later that night, a group gathered around a bonfire on the beach. Old friends and newcomers shared food and stories. Jin showed off his healing ability by letting someone cut his palm with a knife, then watching their faces as the wound closed in minutes. Su-min sat quietly, using her ability to feel the electrical impulses in the brains of those around her. Not reading thoughts, but sensing emotions: happiness, worry, hope, fear. Daeho joined her, sitting on the sand. Impressive group, he said, nodding toward the others. Do you think we're still human? Su-min asked suddenly. Daeho considered this. I think humanity has always been about adaptation. From the first time we used tools, created fire, developed language, we've been changing, evolving. This is just the next step, a very big step. Yes, he agreed, but maybe one we needed to take. From the shadows beyond the firelight, Kel watched the humans. The alien had seen countless worlds fall to the Unmaker. Yet here, on this small planet, life had not only endured but transformed. For the first time in centuries, the last of the Starborn felt something they had almost forgotten: hope. As the stars appeared overhead, Su-min could feel something new, a faint connection forming between the gathered survivors, like invisible threads linking their minds. Not full telepathy, but the beginning of something. A new way of being human in a universe that had tried to erase them. The universe's worst plague had hit Earth, and humanity was evolving through it, one survivor at a time. 3 months after the first meteor shower, the world was breaking apart. Daeho Lee drove his ambulance through the empty streets of Seoul. Once these roads would have been packed with cars and people. Now, there was only silence. Buildings stood dark and empty. Sometimes he saw people looking out from windows, too scared to come outside. Daeho had been a paramedic for 15 years. He was used to seeing sick people to helping them. But nothing had prepared him for this. His radio crackled. "Lee, we have another call. Apartment building in Gangnam. 5 people showing symptoms." "I'm on my way," he answered, turning the ambulance around. Daeho wore a full protective suit, but he knew it probably didn't matter. The Unmaker got through most barriers. In the first month, nearly 80% of medical workers had gotten sick. Most of them died. But not Daeho. He had treated hundreds of patients, been exposed countless times. Yet he remained healthy. The apartment building was quiet when he arrived. A woman waited by the door, her face thin with worry. "They're upstairs," she said. "My neighbors, a family. They started showing signs last night." Daeho nodded and went up alone. He had learned to work by himself since most of his partners had gotten sick. The family was in bad shape. 2 parents and 3 children, all showing the gray skin patches that marked the first stage of the Unmaker. He checked their vital signs, gave them medicine for the pain, and called for a transport vehicle to take them to the treatment center. Treatment center, not hospital. Hospitals were now just places where people went to die. The Unmaker had no cure. As he finished, his phone rang. It was an unknown number. "Is this Daeho Lee?" a woman's voice asked. "Yes." "Who is this?" "My name is Dr. Jiwoo Choi. I'm with the National Defense Medical Research Center. We need to talk." 2 days later, Daeho drove his personal car up a mountain road following Dr. Choi's directions. The research center was hidden in the mountains, far from cities and towns. Armed soldiers stood at the entrance. Dr. Choi met him outside. She was shorter than he expected, with sharp eyes and a serious face. Despite the situation, her lab coat was perfectly clean and pressed. "Thank you for coming, Mr. Lee," she said, leading him inside. "Do you know why you're here?" Daeho shook his head. "You've been exposed to the Unmaker many times, yet you show no symptoms. You're not the only one. There are others like you, people who seem naturally resistant." She led him through a series of secure doors into a large lab where dozens of scientists worked. "About 8% of the human population appears to have some level of resistance," she explained. "We're studying why." "Is it some kind of immunity?" Daeho asked. "Not exactly. Look at this." She showed him to a microscope. In the eyepiece, he could see cells moving. "These are your blood cells," Dr. Choi said. "Now watch what happens when I add the Unmaker." She placed a drop of dark liquid on the slide. Daeho expected to see his cells die. Instead, they changed, surrounding the dark particles, breaking them apart, and somehow absorbing them. "You? Cells don't just fight the Unmaker," Dr. Choi said, her voice filled with excitement. "They adapt to it. They take it in and use parts of it. We've never seen anything like this." Before Daeho could ask more questions, alarms began to sound throughout the facility. "What's happening?" he asked. Dr. Choi checked her tablet. "They're here," she said. "Who's here?" "The Starborn. Their ship has entered Earth orbit." The Starborn ship was smaller than many had expected, about the size of a large airplane. It landed in an open field near the research center, with military vehicles surrounding it at a safe distance. Dr. Choi and Daeho stood with a group of government officials and soldiers as a door opened in the side of the ship. A ramp extended to the ground. The alien that walked out looked both strange and familiar. It was tall and thin with pale blue skin. It had 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head, like a human, but with different proportions. Its eyes were large and completely black. "I am Kel," the alien said in perfect Korean, its voice coming from a small device at its throat. "I speak for the last of the Starborn. We come in peace and sorrow." The human officials stepped forward to greet Kel, but Dr. Choi whispered to Daeho, "Something's wrong. Look at it closely." Daeho studied the alien and realized what she meant. Kel's skin had patches of darker blue, similar to the gray patches that the Unmaker caused in humans. "They're infected too," he whispered back. Later, in a meeting room, at the research center, Kel explained why the Starborn had come to Earth. We have followed the Unmaker for 300 years, Kel said, its voice soft and raspy even through the translator. It destroyed our homeworld. Most of our people died. Only a few thousand survived, those with natural resistance like your Daeho Lee. You knew some humans would be resistant? Dr. Choi asked. We hoped, Kel replied. We have studied many species across the galaxy. None have survived a full planetary infection by the Unmaker, except possibly humans long ago. The event 75,000 years ago, Dr. Choi said. Yes, our long-range scans of Earth found genetic markers in human DNA that suggest your species faced something very similar. Your population dropped to near extinction, yet you survived and rebuilt. But if humans survived it before, why warn us at all? Daeho asked. Why not just let it happen again? Kel's large eyes blinked slowly. Because this version of the Unmaker is much stronger. The ancient race that created it made many versions. What hit Earth thousands of years ago was an early form. This one has evolved, killing thousands of species since then, becoming more efficient with each new world it consumes. Dr. Choi showed Kel her research on the resistant humans. The alien studied the data with great interest. This is remarkable, Kel said. Your resistant humans don't just survive the Unmaker. They adapt to it. They take in aspects of its structure. That good or bad? Daeho asked. I don't know, Kel admitted. We've never seen this before. The starborn who survived simply resist the disease. They don't change from it. Over the next few weeks, more resistant humans were brought to the research center. Dr. Choi and the starborn scientists worked together, studying what made these people different. Outside their mountain sanctuary, the world continued to fall apart. Governments collapsed as leaders died. Food became scarce as farmers fell ill and supply chains broke down. In many places, no one was left to bury the dead. But inside the research center, a spark of hope began to grow. Look at this, Dr. Choi said one evening, showing Daeho and Kel some new test results. The resistant humans who've been exposed longest are showing changes. What kind of changes? Daeho asked. Increased cellular regeneration, enhanced neural activity. Their bodies are not just fighting the Unmaker, they're using parts of it to improve themselves. Kel studied the results. In all our travels, we've never seen a species that could do this. The Unmaker changes everything it touches, but always toward death and decay. Never toward improvement. What does this mean for humans who survive? Daeho asked. Dr. Choi looked up from her data. It means humanity isn't just surviving this plague, she said quietly. We're evolving because of it. That night, Daeho couldn't sleep. He stood at the window of his room, looking out at the dark mountains. In the valley below, he could see the lights of small towns where people still lived. Fewer lights each night as the Unmaker claimed more victims. He touched his arm where Dr. Choi had taken blood samples earlier. Was he really changing? Becoming something different? He didn't feel different, but then again, evolution didn't happen overnight. In the distance, he saw the soft glow of the starborn ship. They had traveled across the stars, following a plague, looking for answers. And somehow, they had found hope on Earth. A small blue planet where a species too stubborn to die had turned death itself into a chance for rebirth. As the first light of dawn broke over the mountains, Daeho wondered what kind of world would emerge from the ashes of the old one, and what kind of humans would inherit it. The message came on a Tuesday. Dr. Jun Kim sat alone in his office at the Global Space Communication Center, his eyes fixed on the screen where strange patterns flashed. For 3 days, these signals had been coming from somewhere beyond Mars. At first, he thought it was a mistake, maybe sunspot activity or equipment failure. But now he was sure. This was it. The thing humans had waited for since they first looked up at the stars. Someone is talking to us, he whispered. Jun's fingers moved quickly over his keyboard. The computer worked to match the patterns to find some way to understand what they meant. After 20 years of searching the stars for signs of life, the 45-year-old scientist couldn't believe it was happening during his shift. He reached for his phone and called Hannah Park, his top assistant. "Hannah, you need to come in now. It's 3 a.m., Dr. Kim," she answered, her voice heavy with sleep. "They're talking to us, Hannah. Not random signals. Real messages with patterns. I think we're not alone anymore." 30 minutes later, Hannah rushed into the lab, her black hair still wet from the shower. She didn't even take off her coat before sitting down next to June. "Show me," she said. June pointed at the screen. "Look at the pattern. It repeats, but with small changes each time. Like someone trying different ways to say the same thing, hoping we'll understand one of them." Hannah stared at the screen. "Have you told anyone else?" "Not yet. I wanted to be sure." For the next 5 hours they worked, without stopping. The message kept coming and their computers kept working to find meaning in it. As the sun rose outside, Hannah's computer made a sound. "Dr. Kim," she said slowly, "I think we have something." The computer had found a pattern in the signals that matched basic math principles. The aliens, whatever they were using math as a first language. They started with simple things. 1 + 1 or 2, then 2 + 2 or 4, building up to more complex equations. Once they established these basics, they began sending different kinds of information. "They're smart," June said. "They know math is universal." By noon, the government knew. By evening, so did the whole world. Humans were not alone in the universe, and now they had proof. 3 days later, June and Hannah had their first breakthrough in understanding the message. "It's a warning," June said, his face pale as he looked up from his computer. The room was full now. Government officials, other scientists, military personnel. Everyone wanted to be there for first contact. "What kind of warning?" asked General Min, the military representative. June pointed to his screen. "They call themselves the Starborn. They're running from something, a disease, I think. They call it the Unmaker." Hannah continued reading from her notes. "From what we can understand, this disease has killed many alien civilizations. The Starborn are the last of their kind. They say they're coming to our solar system, but they're warning us about this disease first." "Are they bringing this disease with them?" General Min asked sharply. "No," June shook his head. "They say it travels on its own through space. They're following it, studying it, looking for a way to stop it. And they think it's coming here?" The general's voice was tense. June looked at the latest translation. "No, they say it's already on its way." That night, the first meteors were spotted, small, strange objects entering Earth's atmosphere. Most space rocks burn up before hitting the ground, but these were different. They slowed down as they descended, as if they were designed to survive the fall. Scientists around the world scrambled to find where they landed, but many crashed in the ocean or in remote areas. The few that were recovered were put into high-security labs for study. 2 days later, the first person got sick in Busan, a port city in South Korea. A dock worker named Tae found one of the small meteors. It had broken open, showing strange, crystal-like structures inside. He picked it up with his bare hands. By evening, he had a fever. By midnight, he was in the hospital. By morning, his skin had begun to change, turning gray in patches, then black, as if dying from the inside out. The doctors had never seen anything like it. Before they could figure out what was happening, Tae died. But by then, 3 nurses who had treated him were showing the same symptoms. The Starborn's next message came with pictures, images of their own people suffering from the same disease. They explained that the Unmaker wasn't just a normal sickness. It was made long ago by an ancient alien race as a weapon. It was designed to kill all forms of life it found, adapting to each new species it encountered. They say no one has ever survived a full planetary infection, June told the emergency meeting of world leaders gathered on video screens. In 5,000 years of records, every civilization hit by the Unmaker has fallen. Then why warn us at all? Asked the President of the United States. If there's no hope? Because they think we might be different, Hannah said, stepping forward. They've studied Earth from far away. They found records of a time, about 75,000 years ago, when humans nearly died out. Our population dropped to maybe a few thousand people. Worldwide, What does that have to do with this? Asked another leader. The Starborn think that event might have been an early form of the Unmaker, June explained. They found traces of something similar in ancient soil samples they collected from Earth's upper atmosphere during their approach. If that's true, and some humans survived it before, then we might have some natural protection, finished Dr. Lee, the head of the World Health Organization. But that's a big if. Within a week, cases appeared on every continent. The sickness moved fast, jumping from person to person through the air, through touch, through water. Hospitals filled up, then morgues, then stadiums converted to emergency. Care centers June and Hannah worked without sleep, talking with the Starborn, trying to find something, anything that might help. The Starborn ship was still months away from Earth, but they sent all their research about the Unmaker. Look at this, Hannah said one night, pointing to her screen. The Starborn tested the Unmaker against cells from thousands of species they've encountered. It kills everything, plants, animals, even some types of bacteria. Everything except what? June asked, looking up from his own work. Except tardigrades from Earth, she said. Those tiny water bears. The Unmaker can't seem to kill them. They just go into hibernation and wait it out. June moved to her screen. Tardigrades can survive almost anything. Radiation, extreme heat, the vacuum of space. They shut down their bodies and repair their DNA when conditions improve. What if some humans can do something similar? Hannah suggested. Not the same way, but maybe our immune systems can adapt faster than other species. As they talked, another meteor shower began outside. Through the lab window, they could see the small lights streaking across the night sky. More carriers of death entering the atmosphere. We need to find people who've been exposed but aren't getting sick, June said. If they exist, their blood might hold the answer. I'll start making calls, Hannah replied, reaching for her phone. But we need to hurry. Outside, the meteors continued to fall like rain, and in cities across the world, the lights were going out one by one as the Unmaker claimed its first wave of victims. Humanity's greatest test had begun, and the clock was ticking.